this E-Dividends. How did you come up with this? What is the motivation behind it? Because it is the first of its kind in the history of the capital market.
Yes, thank you very much, gentlemen. I know in the past, for the last 15 years or so, SEC has been coming with different initiatives with respect to the E-Dividend, and none of it has really addressed the issue. So that's what informed me to say, look, the starting point is to now get the investors to do what is right, because all along SEC has been saying that companies should pay dividend into the investors account, companies should pay dividend into investors account, but that has not worked well. So the idea now is to start from the investors to say, look, it is in your own interest to do this. And the theory is simple. Once you want to sell an idea to somebody, let that person understand that that idea is for his own benefit. Once the person understood that it is his own benefit, it is easier for the person to have a buy-in. Again, because of the state of the market, our approach is not to say people should come back to the market and start investing. No, our approach is let us address some of the teething problems in the market. Because when you meet somebody and say, come back to the market, and he will tell you that I have invested in the last 4 or 5 years, I have not collected my dividend. Why do you want me to come back? So our approach is let us start tackling the problem that the retail investors have before we now come and tell them that come back to the market. So that's what informed our strategy in approaching the E-Dividend in this way. And I'm happy to say that we'll be receiving an excellent support both from Central Bank and from NIPS, because without these two organizations, we won't be able to achieve what we have achieved so far.
You've done so much last year, 2005, from the time you took 2015.
Yeah.
So what were the major activities last year and the impact on the market?
Well, again, you recall that when I came on board on January 12, 2015 as acting DG, I didn't miss what. I clearly said my agenda for the market is just one agenda, which is to implement the master plan. And in implementing the master plan, the entire master plan has 101 initiatives. But we now sat down and look at what are the low-hanging fruits that we can pluck. 2, what are the low-hanging fruits that have a direct impact on the retail investors. And we came up with several of that. One of them is the E-Dividend. The second one is demutualization. Since the inception of the Central Security Clearance System in 1995, we've not been able to have a handshake between the CSS and the registrars. Just for the registrars to transmit their dockets to the CSCS so that they can put it in the electronic form has been quite difficult. I think it's a rocket science. And I said, look, this thing has to be done. We can't operate a market at this time and age, and we are still having certificates. So when I saw that this issue is being dragged, I now had to put my foot down to ensure that the dematerializer has been done. So one of the initiatives was the dematerializer. As of today, 97.5% of shares with the registrars have been dematerialized. Why we have not achieved 100% is because 1 or 2 of the registers that have been acquired are doing some reconciliation issues. So that one has been done. The E-Dividend is something that will be ongoing, but we started last year. The third initiative that I also said we want to address is the issue of the direct cash settlement, where if a client gives his shares to the broker to sell, and those shares are sold, the proceeds of that sale is now being credited. What happens before the DSS is the process is now being credited to the account of the broker. And in the past, we've had issues where your shares have been sold, the proceeds, either the entire process has been remitted to the client or part of the process were remitted. And with the direct cash settlement, once that thing is fully in place, the process will now be credited directly into the client's account. And so we set up a committee last year to drive that. I'm happy to say that a lot of progress has been achieved, although there are some teething issues. The fourth thing we also did within the master plan is to say that this market needs to provide additional comfort to investors that have come to the market, invested their money, and they have lost their money. And that's why we operationalize the National Investor Protection Fund. We've had the National Investor Protection Fund for the last 4 or 5 years. And SEC was magnanimous under the previous board to set aside 5 billion naira, but it has not been operationalized. So one of the things we did last year as one of the initiatives was to inaugurate the board and to also inaugurate the verification committee. As of today, almost 300 investors have been paid. Not fully, because the rules stipulate that the maximum you can be paid is 200,000 naira. So if you have lost 1 million naira, you get 200,000. If you have lost 100,000 naira, you get 100,000 naira. So at least investors have seen some comfort. So the National Investor Protection Fund is very critical, and I'm happy that we have operationalized it and is up and doing. We also feel that there's a need to upscale the performance of quoted companies, that we should move beyond the financial reporting, that corporate governance has become a major issue now worldwide. Scholars believe that once a company complies with the corporate governance, that there's every tendency that the company is going to do very well and is going to be on a sustainable basis. So we engage IFC for almost 8 to 9 months to partner with them in terms of preparing the scorecard. And the moment we're able to finish, we also got some quoted companies and trained them on how that scorecard is going to be completed. And last year, as one of our initiatives, we also launched the corporate governance scorecard. What we're going to do this year is to continue to do the training for the company secretary of quoted companies and how they should complete the scorecard. The moment that it is operational, companies' accounts, once they published, they will now also publish their level of the compliance of corporate governance. It's a disclosure issue. So it is left for the investor to now look at which between the 2 or 3 companies has a better corporate governance. A company that has a better corporate governance is likely to do better, is likely to have a more sustainable base. So, and the launching of the corporate governance scorecard is the first that was done in Africa. No jurisdiction has launched that corporate governance except in Nigeria. And this year, we are going to focus our attention in terms of operationalizing. What we did last year was to handle all the teething issues, the training program, the launching of it. This year is going to be in terms of compliance, getting companies to comply with it. So we also did that. We also, as one of the initiatives we did last year, was the recapitalization, which is also among the master plan, that it's important for capital market operators to be well capitalized. And we came up with the capitalization requirement. There were a lot of issues. The market has gone down, the market has done this, and so we should postpone. But we stood by our words that 30th September is sacrosanct, and we kept to it. The moment after the deadline, we came up with a list of companies that have submitted their compliance status. We've reviewed and we published their names. But we told them that it was a provisional list. So we engaged 16 accounting firms that review all the returns. After their review, we also engaged 3 senior accounting firms that reviewed the work of the 16. And out of that, we removed 24 of them that we felt they have not substantially explained why they have that amount. So we removed them from the list. But as time goes on, anybody that makes a submission will also engage accounting firm to review. But with a caveat that if you have not met that list, anytime you meet the requirement, we are the ones that will appoint the accounting firm. But that firm will be the one to pay for that, because we can't be paying for something you have not done. So the recapitalization, I'm happy to say, has done well, and we're doing well on it. We also said we need to change our pattern of public enlightenment in this country. And what we did was to target radios, and we came up with a lot of radio jingles. We targeted retail investors, and we aired radio jingles in Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, Pidgin English, and also English across the country. And we did it last year, and we're still doing it this year, and we're also going to continue. So we believe the public enlightenment is an ongoing thing, but there's a paradigm shift the way public enlightenment is being done. We feel our target is the retail investors. We believe the future of this country, the future of capital market is with retail investors. Everywhere in the world is the retail investors. The institutional investors will come in and go out. The foreign investors are weather friends. They will come in when it's good. When they feel it's not good, they go out. But the retail investors, they don't have anywhere to go except this country. So that's why all our public enlightenment, our target is on the retail investors. So these are some of the initiatives we did last year.
What more opportunities do you see for the growth and development of the Nigerian capital market?
There are a lot of opportunities, and like you rightly said, it's a trend that is global, It's not only in Nigeria, in other markets too. As at last year, they closed in negative, several countries. And two, we all know that both the oil price and the commodity price have significantly gone down by probably over 100%, 100%. And it's a reflection of the state of the economy. But I think the way forward, in my opinion, is to make the market to be more deep. How do you make the market to be deep? You make the market to be deep when you have more listed companies. As of today, we're experiencing this thing because the market is not deep. I'll give you an example. Because of the dominance of the banking sector, if you remove the Dangote in terms of capitalization, you find that the banking sector constitutes a larger percentage of the market. So if there's any drop within the banking sector, it affects the entire market. But if the market is deep and you have the telecoms, the discos and the gencos being listed on exchange, a slight drop on a particular sector will not affect the market. So one of our key drivers for 2006 is actually to encourage the listing of the company, the telecom companies. I don't see why they should not be listed. In my personal opinion, government can come with a policy to say, if you are to enjoy government contract of X amount, you must be listed, you must be a listed company. Or two, government can say, when you are doing evaluation of a company, they will be given contract. If a company is listed, it has additional points. But there must be an incentive for government to come up with for companies to be listed. I think these are some of the things that government should do to get companies to be listed. But to address this, and why I'm optimistic about the future of this country and the future of the capital market is, like I said, by the time we address some of the teething rudimentary issues with investors, investors are likely going to come back to the market. And now we have a government that is very committed to developing the capital market and having the economy to grow. And the only way you can do that is to get these companies to be listed.
Where do we see the Nigeria's capital market, contributing to the development of the Nigeria's capital market in the next 3-4 years?
All right, thank you. My vision is to have a capital market that is very efficient and also deep. And also to have a capital market that contributes a minimum of 40% to the country's GDP. As of today, we're probably talking about 15-20%. In many countries, they are taking about 80 or over 100%. So I'm not going to be too optimistic because we're talking about vision 2-3 years. And so I'm looking at the capital market contributing between 40 to 50%. And it's very easy. Once you have, imagine you have the telecoms, imagine you have the discos, the gencos all listed on exchange. Imagine you have the NNPC, the LNG listed on exchange. Imagine the level of the capitalization vis-a-vis the country's GDP that it will translate to. So my vision is, I want to, by the time I finish my term, I want to see a capital market that is very efficient. I want to see a capital market that has a lot of integrity. I want to see a capital market that is deep. And I want to see a capital market that contributes significantly to the country's GDP. And also a capital market that contributes significantly in terms of employment generation, in terms of tax, in terms of output growth. Especially now that this current administration is looking inwards. Any company that wants to be in Nigeria for the next 10, 20, 30 years has to look inwards.
Where do you see these efforts that you have just started, of course, in the next 1 year leading to?
And what I see happening is, like I said, this E-Dividend is going to be a major game changer in this market. Number one is, like I said, the issue of people investing in the company, dividend being paid, you are not able to claim your dividend either because you are living in a very far place and it will cost you, let's say, 5,000 naira to come and collect your dividend warrant from your postal box, and it will cost you 1,000 naira to now travel to your bank and pay. So you are taking about 6,000 naira, while the dividend you are collecting is only 3,000 naira. Me and you and everybody will say, what am I going to do? Why do I have to spend 6,000 naira to collect 3,000 naira? So people will leave it. Two, change of addresses. People change their address, and once they change their address, they are not able to collect that dividend. 3, rightly or wrongly, we tend to believe the companies declare dividend even though they don't have the cash in the banking. Dividend should be cash back. So if in the last 5 years, I have seen that from history, only 50% of my dividend is being claimed, I can decide to declare 1 billion naira as dividend because I know that only 500 million will be claimed. So I will only make a provision of a cash of 500 million naira. But you have distorted the market. You have misrepresented the facts. But because of the history, you know that only 50% is declared. So you are also allowing companies to do what is wrong. So those are some of the things that the E-Dividend would do. Secondly, and very importantly, with the E-Dividend issue, with the BVN platform, every operator in the market will have the same know your customer. So there's going to be a robust KYC. What we have seen in the last 20-30 years in this market, and why most of the infractions in the market are attributed to the smaller companies, is because the smaller companies do not have a robust KYC. If you go to a company as an investor, a big company, and you want to sell your shares, they will run your KYC very robustly. But if you go to a small firm, because of the attraction of selling your shares and enjoying the commission, they may not be as robust as it's supposed to be in terms of running your KYC. And that is why you find a lot of infractions. That's why you find a lot of imposters. But with the DVN platform, everybody is on the same page. The same KYC that you have is the same KYC that I have. So it will also eliminate that. Thirdly, it will also eliminate the unclaimed dividend. Today we're talking about 80 billion, 70 billion, 80 billion. 80 to 90% of those unclaimed dividend, 80 billion, are the 1,000, 5,000, 3,000. Anybody that has a dividend of 100,000 naira, would he claim? You certainly find a way to claim. So it is me and you that probably have 3,000, 2,000, that will now do our calculation that it will cost us 5,000 to come and collect it. I said, I don't want it. That has led to the accumulation of that. So that unclaimed dividend will also be a thing of the past. And some companies have been benefiting from that unclaimed dividend. And what we're saying is, before we start addressing that 80 billion unclaimed dividend, let us stop the propensity of it. Then we can address it. So now we are saying that we want to have a stop on the accumulation of unclaimed dividend. By the time we do the E-Dividend and we're not experiencing unclaimed dividend, then we now start to tackle the unclaimed dividend there is with the companies. We know the law provides that, the CAMA provides that after 15 months, the dividend should be moved to the company, from the registers to the company. And the law also says that after 12 years, it becomes statute bad. It means in the next 13 years, if I have evidence to show that I own that dividend, I cannot get. Some of us are saying that no, it shouldn't be so. Once you can demonstrate that you actually own that dividend, you should be paid. And one of the ways we are looking at is to have a trust fund. Either each company should set up, and my idea is each company should set up a trust fund with trustees and custodians that would manage those dividends. In the next 15 years, 16 years, if anybody comes with document to show that he actually owns those dividends, the trustees and the registrars should be able to pay that individual that dividend. So that's the issue. We haven't come to that. Like I said, we want to address that issue that led to the accumulation of it. Then those that have been there will do it. Because what we've done in the past is to be talking about unclaimed dividend, unclaimed dividend, unclaimed dividend. But we have not addressed the root cause of the unclaimed dividend. So that's what we're saying, that's what we are doing. We are addressing what brings in the unclaimed dividend. Once we address that issue, then we now head on, tackle the unclaimed dividend issue. Yes.
And I think